The kind of investors you guys want don't need you. So you have to bring something that is so compelling and so obviously ties into what they want to work towards with their lives that you're the natural outlet for them to work with you on. Scalability. If you can demonstrate scale to your investors, you have their attention. Real investors, people that have made real money, people that have sold companies for 10 million, 100 million, hundreds of millions of dollars, they understand the power of scale. So if you can demonstrate that your fund has legs, that it can scale, because the market is X, you're doing Y, and here's where you're going next, and it's not just a one-off deal, and you're looking for a quick buck because you think you can make $1 million. I had one guy tell me, he goes, $1 million isn't cool. What's cool? He goes, $1 billion. That's cool. I was 21 years old at the time. But they love scale. It's not about the money, it's just the challenge of the build, right? At a certain point, you have a few bucks in your wallet. The kind of investors you guys want don't need you. They don't need you. So you have to bring something that is so compelling and so obviously ties into what they want to work towards with their lives that you're the natural outlet for them to work with you on. I'm not saying poo-poo the $50,000 or the $200,000 investors. Those are fantastic. You're building blocks, you're growing, you're scaling, but eventually you're not going to build an empire with 50 or 100 grand at a time. It's too much. You know, even administratively, one of our funds, I think we had 400 investors, and that was, man, administratively, holy cow. One of the things we did is we sent out birthday cards and thank you cards, handwritten cards. I'll tell you guys later on about some of the things we did. I had one person that would just sit there every month for like a day and a half just writing cards. You had to write 30, 40 cards a month because, you know, or not exactly because birthdays were scattered, but you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Because there's a personal touch. So I love doing it, but do I want to do it for 400 people? My God, what about 4,000? What about one check? I'll take that. So scale. The more you can demonstrate the scale. So tagging on to your idea, Dave, let's assume that this opportunity, this cash for keys to equity, whatever you call let's say that's the program. You convert that into something else. That's your proprietary approach because we've already done this. And by the way, we have identified another, 6,300 units in the Burlington, whatever market that are eligible for this. And here's our plan and here's how we're going to go forward with it. That's cool. That's fun. That's a fun. That's not a quick, hey, one conversation. That's a here's where we're going with it. And by the way, here's the last one we did. Just like them with the development, same thing. Like that is a fund. That's a thesis for a fund. It has legs, it has time frames. How do you actually demonstrate the value? I've given you a whole bunch of different things, all kinds of different heartstrings and emotional cues and logical, ways to pull on heartstrings and activate and engage somebody. How do you personally actually utilize some of this stuff in the context of your business? The first one is create a sense of a community. So using M1 as an example, for those of you who've been with me for more than even 3 months, you can tell there's a sense of community. Like people are connected, they're doing business together. You want to show up to the calls, you want to talk to everyone else, and you want to bring your deals and conversations to that community because there's an immediate familiarity there. There's a sense of an understanding, like the need to build rapport is massively reduced because everyone has a basic understanding of what it means to be part of our community. The key is when you're building your community, don't just look at it in the context of, oh, well, I'm doing a development, so I want a community of people that are interested in development. You got to think beyond that. Like if you have a 10-year horizon or 20-year horizon, think about the type of people you want to collect in your life. Like people ask me, why did I start M1? I said, honestly, I like to collect cool people. That was my initial answer. I didn't have a refined thing. That was my initial answer. We didn't even call it M1 yet. We named it, private something community or whatever it was. But for me, the goal was just to get cool people around and have them moving in a similar direction. So for you, what is that? How can you create a sense of a community around what you're doing? We talked yesterday with trend followers. Like the housing crisis is a trend. Like you couldn't be more on trend. You're like, unfortunately, but that's the trend, right? So you're positioning yourself in a way where you're trying to help solve the problem. And that's a powerful position to be in. The water company that we funded on the filtration side, they were part of the solution of the problem of too many water bottles in the landfills. Same thing. So what is the problem that you're solving? Literally, you can go to the small business associations and talk about your method, your unique approach to what you do, create like a methodology to it, and talk about it in the context of, so here's how we support small businesses. Here's how we help entrepreneurs. And now you get invited to speak at trade shows, at events. You're still talking about your business, your fund. By the way, your fund, not your quick little project here. You now have a fund. You see it, right? It's a full-blown conversation, and now you're positioning yourself as an expert in that field. And when you guys can paint that vision, you will get the attention of 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs, 10-figure entrepreneurs. Like that's what it is. It's your vision. Like most people can't see beyond 3 feet. Like they can't see beyond the immediacy of that next paycheck, next deal. If you have that fund as an overarching goal, you can do things within it and you're still moving in that same direction. Involving them in the journey. So when we were buying buildings during COVID, we bought 82 townhouses, then we bought 168, 78. We bought 2 buildings side by side. The broker FaceTimed. COVID, nobody could travel. My iPhone could travel, so I FaceTimed my investors, and there's an app where you can have double-sided, so you can have this side and this side playing at the same time. So I would do 2 versions. One, I would FaceTime them, and as I'd actually tour them through the property that we just closed on, in the fund that they'd never seen either, and they felt engaged in the process because they actually saw me boots on the ground, and I would show them all the flaws, all the issues, all this. Here's the great thing, here's the vision, here's where this is going to go. I'd drive down the street, I'd record it, and then you're taking them on the journey. Like they're feeling like they're just part of this. So for the guy that wrote $250,000 or $500,000 as a deal, he immediately was like, okay, that's cool, and then they would feel like they're part of it. Take people on the journey with you. Tell them the story. I mean, the other thing you guys can do is surveys. Survey your investors. We survey our clients. M1 Inner Circle, we survey you every year. What do you like about the community? What can we do more of? What don't you like? All this different stuff. We're always asking for feedback. You can do the same thing with your investors. They might think I'm a pest. Well, who cares? They gave you their money. They obviously trust you. And if they're not interested in responding to the survey, they just won't open it. They're busy. It's fine. We get about 50 to 60% response rate on surveys. I'm not offended by it. Like the people that don't respond, it doesn't mean that they don't like us. They're probably busy. But it gives them a chance to have an input. Also, for those investors or those members that in the future have opinions, you can say, great, did you fill out the survey? And they're like, no. Okay, great, go fill out the survey, right? Like it creates structure, it creates order, it creates engagement, which is what you want. Beta testing. Here's something else that's really cool. So in the context of multifamily, so when the whole smartphone revolution and apps and all that stuff on your iPhone came out, all the companies that were doing property management software started doing all these apps, and they were all doing beta tests. Before we decided which versions of things we wanted, we asked some of our investors if they wanted to get involved. They're like, why? I'm like, well, do you want to have a report on your phone about the property? Some would say, I don't care. Like at all. The passive investor, the doctor, the dentist, they definitely didn't care. But the analyst, oh man, they're excited. That became a referral tool. They're like, yeah, like you should totally invest with these guys. Look at this report. Like, because to them that was important. That's how they saw value. I went to a dinner. One of my investor pulls out. He goes, so another guy goes, so how's your property doing? The guy looks at me, he pulls out the app. He goes, well, here's how the things, like he literally, sold. The other guy didn't care about what was on it, but the fact that he had it sold the other, you understand? It sold the other guy. Like he didn't care, but because the other guy cared, it was infectious. Offer insider information. So again, let people feel like they're part of something that nobody else knows about yet. It's the best way to do it. So I said earlier, virtual tours, pre-announcements. Some of you real estate brokers do this already with your deals. You have your list of people that always buy houses, pre-construction, whatever you do. What do? You email them or call them before there's even an ad, because they feel good because they kept buying condos from you or units from you or whatever it is. They feel like they're getting something no one else has access to. It makes people like feeling special. I bought a condo from Brad even before he had the blueprint, and I felt cool about it, and I did extremely well on it. Like it's insider. Like on the stock market, this would be insider trading. In private business, this is just good business. This is just relationships, right? This is just how it works. So Let your investors feel like they're on the inside track, and they are on the inside track, because those are the people you want to cultivate. Making them feel valued. Thank you notes. We used to crank out 300 to 400 thank you notes a month, one of our funds. There's service providers now that you can hire for thank you notes, that they'll have handwritten notes written and it looks like your signature. You can think of touch points with your clients. How are they feeling valued? Think about one of the things that when you onboard somebody into your fund, when they fill out the subscription agreement, it says their birthday on it, date of birth. So guess when their birthday is? It's right on the agreement. You send them an email, send them a text, send them a call. You could automate a lot of this stuff. There's even technology, my sales team uses it, where it goes straight to voicemail and leaves a personalized voicemail. What you guys want to develop eventually is something Grant Cardone calls omnipresence. You want to develop a state where you are present everywhere. And the way to do that is to leverage all the technology that exists nowadays. But ultimately, helping them feel valued will make a big difference. Other thing you guys can do, depending on the type of investors you have and the type of environment you're creating, investor spotlight. It's a huge one. We started doing this a few months ago. You guys have noticed. Last month I had Zoria on. She's bought almost 200 doors. The month before I had you guys on, Tom and Kush, how you guys raised your... So I had an investor spotlight. That went out to thousands of people in our database. They got free exposure. It was a huge value add, and we do this every month. It doesn't cost me anything to do it, but I have the network, so why not take the time? They interviewed well, and it went out to my entire database, plus online. It's another way I add value to my community and makes my community more valuable. Financial incentives, make sure you run this by your securities lawyer, because this can get gray. You're allowed to offer financial incentives to your investors, but it has to be clearly disclosed and documented in the paperwork. And I don't mean rebates. Rebating is a no-no in the investment industry, especially with commissions and fees and stuff like that. I'm talking about actual incentives for your investors. So you can create tiers and ladders and waterfalls and incentives to give people either an incentive to write bigger checks, write them faster, or stay in longer. If someone's considering writing a check of $250,000 or $1 million, you want to give them the incentive, if they have the means, to obviously write the $1 million check. So how do you do that? Emotional connection, we talked about this. Impact reports, the impact that what you've done, if you have some data around what other people have been able to accomplish. Maybe there's models in the US that have done what you're proposing to do well. Maybe there's models abroad. Whatever information is out there that you guys can incorporate into your investment thesis that's been substantiated somewhere else. If you're trying to pull on the emotional heartstrings of somebody in the context of what you're trying to accomplish, that piece of it will really move the needle for you. Testimonials. When you join M1 and we add value to you, we ask you to do a testimonial. Why? Because, well, we know we've delivered value and we ask you to just share that. You should be collecting them as well. Because what's more powerful than somebody else, or in our case, having, I don't know, we've probably got 100+ testimonials now. I don't know if they're all up on our website, but we've got a ton of testimonials. It's me saying we're great is one thing, but 100 people, 200 people, like I'm eventually going to post every single testimonial on the website. Imagine the power of you going to my website and you go to testimonials tab and you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I'm going to post every single one. I don't care. Like, what's more powerful than that?